Hello and welcome to you lazy wealth creators, you. Today we have got an episode with a little bit of old school vinyl in the background. Not the music, obviously, just the old school ideas. So as always, the money saving bit and then moving on to the money making bit. So here we go. The money saving expertise hint of the day. Keep yourselves a coin jar. Now I know what you're going to say. This is why it's old school. Well, everything's digital now. But recently, cash has seen a bit of an upsurge. I think back in, it was September or it might have been August of 2024, there was a 7% uptick in people using cash instead of paying by digital currencies now. So something to keep your eye on there. Now, why should we keep a coin jar? Well, if you're like me, some people might be, when you go to the corner store that sometimes doesn't accept digital currency, you need to have something in an emergency where you can just give cash. Now, this has actually happened in stores like Sainsbury's, Tesco's, Asda, where their electronic payment machines have gone down completely, okay? So you need to be able to get access to physical cash to be able to pay for goods. So it's always sensible to have a coin jar anyway. But, putting those 20 pences, 50 pences, 5 pences in the jar every single time you get that slummy in your pocket, it's a great way at the end of the year to open it up and see how much you've actually saved, because you might surprise yourself. I think the last time I opened my coin jar, I was putting £1 and £2 in as well. There was something like 400 quid in there, which, for a lot of people, £400 is quite a lot of money. £400 for me was a nice little trip that I arranged with my, I think it was with my son, and we went on a shooting range, so it can amount to quite a lot of different things. Other people, it can mean the difference between having no heating and having heating. But again, see my previous episodes about heating and how to make your bills cheaper. Now on to the money making side of this, flipping that coin. When it comes to pricing your products, especially if you're going to be taking cash, one of the things I recommend that you do is you structure your pricing in such a way where it looks like really good value, but it's also a massive inconvenience to the consumer to wait for change. And what I mean by that is when you go to a cafe, like I go to many of them, obviously, as you might be able to tell if you're watching me on YouTube. When you visit your local cafe, they charge me £9.65 for my breakfast, okay? So they only accept cash. So I go there with my £10 or my £20 note or whatever it is. I usually go with a tenner. I pay for my breakfast. And do I really want to muck about and wait for the 35p change? Or do I just say, don't worry about the change? And of course, how many customers in a day are getting charged £9.65 for their breakfasts? And how many of them are walking out going, don't worry about the change? Well, if that's 10 of them, that's £3.50. And these people serve about, I think there's a table cover for about 30 people. So assuming that they have around about 160 to 180 people a day, those 35 pences, they can rack up very quickly in the course of a normal trading day. So that's one thing for you to think about. When you're selling your products or services, consider a price which leaves your client in a position to leave that change in a jar. So my window cleaner is a great example of this. So when he comes to clean the windows, he leaves a little note to say, I've cleaned your windows. It's the only way we can tell because the windows don't actually look that clean. He leaves a little note to say, I've cleaned your windows. Great, thanks. And he comes in and he knocks on the door later on. He says, oh, hi, it's window cleaner. It's £9. So I get my tenner out and I give him the 10. He goes, oh, I'm really sorry. I've got no change. Oh, wow. Again, no change. Amazing. So, of course, I go, oh, don't worry about it. It's £1. That's fine. So he's now charged me a tenner for my clean, but actually only charging me £9, which is far more competitive than other people who charge £11.50. But what has he done? He's really smart. He's charging me £9, which is undercutting his competition by £2.50. But then actually when he comes to collect, he's taken that extra pound off me anyway. So he's undercut his competition by £1.50. But he's got the work. So, he's really used his head there. I really love what he's done. Great psychology. So, yeah, sorry, you don't have change. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I don't really cry over £1. It's not a big deal. Obviously, unless you're in Surrey in which case, a pound is probably what's keeping your butt cheeks clenched together. And if you're in Yorkshire, you would probably try and charge him interest if he owed you the pound. So I know different people in different parts of the world have different views on money, but certainly that extra pound in where I come from, we don't really worry about that. You can also add a complete purchase item, which I've talked about in our supermarket episodes. What I mean by that is you can say to a customer, you've bought the Lazy Wealth Creation Cup. To complete the purchase, why not buy a hat? Because, of course, you always want to be wearing a Lazy Wealth hat when you're when you're drinking your Lazy Wealth cup of coffee in the morning. Excuse me there. Tastes really good in a Lazy Wealth Creation cup, by the way, guys. I don't know if you want to subscribe and get the shop open and get that lovely coffee mug there. So you can always try and do the complete purchase to upsell. In another episode, I mentioned about selling hats in the cold, but what's the point of having a hat without having gloves? So you can sell the two as a combination. T-shirts, you can have those printed for special occasions. So cheap these days, the likes of Etsy and so on and so forth. For less than 100 quid, you could go around selling green St. Patrick's Day t-shirts with a silly slogan, "The luck of the Irish be with you," with a picture of a leprechaun on it. Really, people don't like green t-shirts, especially in the summer or in the winter, so you'll get them so cheap. Have somebody print "Luck of the Irish" on it for you. And then you can go out on an Irish bar crawl or on St. Patrick's Day, particularly in Liverpool, where there's a huge Irish contingent of people, but all over the UK, people celebrating St. Patrick's Day. Sell those t-shirts, which all in will have cost you about £7.50, including the print, and you sell them for 15 quid. You can buy lights and sell those as an upsell for a tenner and all kinds of stuff. Really cheap, really quick, easy, and effective things to do, guys and girls. So I hope that's been useful for you today. Just to summarize, keeping your coin in the coin jar and letting that save up until you need it or you're going on holiday or a special occasion. And then when you're thinking about pricing, when you're actually making money now, when you think about pricing, do it so the customer sort of goes, don't worry about the extra 75p or the extra 30p or whatever it is, because the whole point is that you want the customer to leave that for you while also still perceiving that great value that you've given them for £9.65 instead of rounding it up to a tenner. I hope that's been useful for you, guys and girls. Let me know in the comments. Give me some likes, some shares, some subscriptions. Tell us, have you used any of these techniques? We love to get your feedback as always. I'd love to see you on the other side.